Your heart is beating faster right now than it needs to be. Maybe you are sitting still. Maybe nothing around you is threatening. But somewhere inside you, a system that was built for a completely different world is still running, still scanning, still preparing you for something that, in all likelihood, is never going to happen. And the strangest part is that this system is not broken. It worked perfectly for 300,000 years. It just never got the update that said the war was over. The war ended roughly 10,000 years ago. Not a war between nations, a war between your body and everything that wanted to eat it, infect it, starve it, or crush it before you could pass on your genes. For the overwhelming majority of human history, the threats were physical, immediate, and everywhere. A predator in the grass, a rival group across the ridge, a wound that could go septic in 3 days, a winter with not enough stored food. Your body evolved a precise and elegant system to handle all of this. The problem is that system cannot tell the difference between a lion and a deadline. This is not a metaphor, it is physiology. When your brain perceives a threat, any threat, a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala fires a signal to your hypothalamus, which triggers your adrenal glands to flood your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate jumps. Blood is rerouted away from your digestive system and toward your muscles. Your pupils dilate. Your pain threshold rises. Clotting factors in your blood increase, preparing for a wound that might come. Your immune system shifts into a particular kind of short-term overdrive. Every single one of these responses was exquisitely designed for a physical confrontation that lasts between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. Most modern threats last for months. The researcher Robert Sapolsky, a neuroendocrinologist at Stanford University, who has spent decades studying stress in both baboons and humans, has described this mismatch as one of the defining tragedies of modern biology. He points out that a zebra being chased by a lion experiences a stress response that is turned on hard, does its job, and then turns completely off. The zebra either escapes or it does not. Either way, the event is over. But you, sitting in traffic, thinking about money, anticipating a difficult conversation, your body is running the same system, turned on at the same intensity. Except the lion never arrives and never leaves, so the system never shuts off. Chronic activation of the stress response was not something your body evolved to survive. Sapolsky's research has shown that sustained high cortisol levels shrink the hippocampus, impair immune function, raise blood pressure, suppress reproductive hormones, and accelerate cellular aging. Your body is paying the full physiological price of being in danger, without ever actually being in danger. It is buying insurance for a disaster that is not coming every single day. But the stress response is only the beginning. The war your ancestors fought left fingerprints on nearly every system in your body. Take your immune system. Your ancestors lived in environments dense with pathogens, parasites, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and their immune systems were calibrated for a world of constant, diverse biological assault. The epidemiologist Graham Rook at University College London has spent years developing what he calls the old friends hypothesis. The idea is this: your immune system does not just need to fight infections. It needs a specific set of ancient microbial companions, the bacteria, helminths, and environmental organisms that your ancestors lived alongside for hundreds of thousands of years to calibrate itself properly. Without them, it miscalibrates. It turns on things it should tolerate. Things like pollen, like certain foods, like your own tissue. The dramatic rise in autoimmune diseases and allergies in industrialized nations over the last century maps almost perfectly onto the removal of these ancient microbial relationships from modern life. Your immune system is still looking for a war it was trained to fight. When it cannot find the right enemies, it starts inventing them. Your gut knows this too. Your digestive system contains approximately 100 trillion microorganisms, more individual cells than there are in the rest of your body combined. This microbiome is not an accident. It is a co-evolved ecosystem shaped over millions of years of your ancestors eating wild, fermented, soil-contaminated, seasonally varying food from dozens of different plant and animal sources. Today, the average industrialized gut contains a fraction of the microbial diversity that existed in hunter-gatherer populations. Researchers like Tim Spector at King's College London have documented this collapse in diversity and linked it to everything from depression to metabolic disease to chronic inflammation. Your gut is running software designed for a world that no longer exists. Your skeleton is another artifact of that ancient war. Anthropologist Timothy Ryan and his colleagues at Penn State have analyzed the bone density of prehistoric humans and found that even non-elite individuals in hunter-gatherer societies showed bone robustness comparable to modern competitive athletes. They walked an average of 9 to 15 kilometers a day. They climbed, carried, threw, twisted, crouched. Their bodies were built for a level of physical demand that almost no modern person comes close to. Osteoporosis, the silent loss of bone density that affects hundreds of millions of people worldwide, is in many ways a skeleton looking for the load it was designed to bear and never finding it. Your eyes evolved to see at distance, at movement in peripheral vision, at the subtle color variations in fruit and foliage. They were never designed to hold a fixed focal point 2 feet in front of your face for 12 hours a day. The global explosion of myopia, short-sightedness, tracked precisely with the industrialization of indoor schooling and screen time. Your eyes are not failing. They are adapting as best they can to a world that their architecture never anticipated. Even your social anxiety is a remnant of that ancient conflict. The evolutionary psychologist Mark Leary at Duke University has studied what he calls sociometer theory. The idea that your self-esteem is not really about how you feel about yourself in isolation. It is a real-time gauge of your perceived social acceptance within a group. In your ancestors' world, exclusion from the group was a death sentence. There was no surviving alone on the Pleistocene savanna. So your brain evolved to monitor social standing with the same vigilance it monitored physical threat. Being criticized at work activates the same neural alarm systems as being physically threatened. Being excluded from a social group registers in the brain's pain matrix in ways that overlap meaningfully with physical pain. This is not weakness. This is a system that kept your ancestors alive for hundreds of thousands of years, now applied to contexts it was not built for. The evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman at Harvard calls this phenomenon disevolution, the idea that many chronic diseases and conditions of modern life are not random failures of the body, but predictable consequences of bodies shaped by ancient selection pressures, now living in environments those pressures never prepared them for. Back pain from sitting, fallen arches from flat shoes, jaw crowding from soft food that never adequately stimulates bone development, a body that gained weight efficiently in an environment of scarcity, now surrounded by unlimited cheap calories. You are not the product of this world. You are a visitor in it. Your body arrived here from somewhere very different, packed with survival tools for a landscape that no longer exists, calibrated for threats that have mostly been neutralized, running systems that evolved over millions of years and were fine-tuned over hundreds of thousands more. The war ended 10,000 years ago. Agriculture began. Cities followed. The immediate daily threats that shaped every one of your biological systems began to recede. But evolution does not move at the pace of history. It moves at the pace of reproduction and survival across generations. 10,000 years is, in evolutionary terms, barely an eye blink. Your genes have had perhaps 400 generations to adjust to the post-agricultural world. That is not enough time. Not remotely enough. So the next time your heart pounds before a presentation you have prepared for, the next time you cannot sleep because your brain keeps cycling through a problem that is months away, the next time a single critical comment undoes an entire day of good work, the next time you crave sugar at midnight or feel inexplicably restless after sitting still too long, that is not failure. That is not weakness. That is a body doing exactly what it was built to do in a world it was never built for. The war is over. Your body just never got the message.